Well, good morning. I'm Pastor John, and what a beautiful day. I think summer may be just around the corner here. You know, today as I was thinking about this week and how we've entered a new time, we've been in Lent and that season of 40 days, which turned into 40 days of self-isolation for many, many people. And now we're in this season of Eastertide, the Christian season following Easter that leads us out of Easter and toward Pentecost. And so I'm thinking about the many of the stories that we normally tell this time of year, particularly in Acts, but like the end of Luke, where we have the walk to Emmaus, where Jesus encounters the two disciples. We may talk about that next Sunday, not this coming Sunday, but a week from Sunday. And but also thinking about how the disciples waited. There's two kinds of time that are listed in and mentioned in the Bible. One of them is Chronos time, Greek word, which means kind of the continual marching of time that we're used to talking about and thinking about, and the time that we kind of live in. And we feel like now we're in this Chronos time. But the other one is Kairos time. And Kairos is, the meaning is the appointed time. And so God works mostly in Kairos time. And that's tough for us to take because we want to have this linear process of Chronos time. We want to know what's coming, what will be out there, where we're at right now. But God doesn't work that way. God works under appointed time. When God is ready, when God is time is right. And so thinking about Chronos time, I was thinking, how is God working with you during this Chronos time? Are you staying connected and studying? Are you engaged with some friends, maybe even on the phone or on FaceTime on your phone or Facebook or other places where you're talking about faith and talking about how God is working with you? I'm enjoying seeing pictures of people making masks for others, and I'm enjoying seeing the work of making greeting cards that some folks did right before Easter for one of our senior citizen homes. Lots of little things that can be done that are service oriented. And when you do that and you bless someone else, that's a little bit of Chronos time, or excuse me, Kairos time, the appointed time to bless someone else. So I want to encourage you to stay connected, and that leads me to another story that comes to mind. As I was walking around the house today, I looked at a sculpture that we have, and I'm going to show that to you here in a minute, but it's based on the beginning of Luke when Jesus began to call his disciples. So let's go take a look at that. The carving you see is made from olive wood, and this is a carving that we picked up when we were in Jerusalem a few years ago in the town of Bethlehem. Interestingly, Bethlehem is a walled city. People can't come and go as they wish. There's a wood shop there that is run by Palestinian Christians. In fact, there are many Palestinian Christians in Bethlehem, but they are in the same rules and situation that the Muslim Palestinians find themselves in, kind of trapped in this walled city. They can't freely come and go. Things have to be brought in for them. They can't just go out of Bethlehem down to Jerusalem to the hardware store to get something. They have to have it brought in if they don't already have it. And they're very dependent upon the tourist business, particularly pilgrims, as we were when we were there, coming in to visit their stores and buy and to visit the restaurants. And it's, I wonder how they're coping in this day and age with this time when people are not able to travel, and just how is that affecting them? They're waiting. They're waiting for this season to be over, and we wait. Well, this little carving is, there were 3 of them there. This is the medium size. They do a hand carving of a small, a medium, and a large. And then from the original carving, which this is 1, then they make reproductions using pantograph type routers to carve a new piece. This happens to be one of the originals, one of the very few nice originals that we've acquired over the years, but I really like this one, The Miracle of the Fisherman. And it comes from Luke chapter 5. And I'm going to read this from the Message. And it says, "Push out into deep water. Once when he was standing on the shore of Lake Gennesaret, the crowd was pushing in on him to better hear the word of God. He noticed 2 boats tied up. The fishermen had just left them and were out scrubbing their nets. He climbed into the boat that was Simon's and asked him to put out a little from the shore. Sitting there, using the boat for a pulpit, he taught the crowd." That made a lot of sense. When you push out from the water actually amplifies and carries the sound up to the crowd, so it was a good place to be. Verse 4, "When he finished teaching, he said to Simon, 'Push out into deep water and let your nets out for a catch.'" Notice that word, nets out for a catch. But Simon said, "Master, we've been fishing hard all night and haven't caught even a minnow. But if you say so, I'll let out the nets." It was no sooner said than done. A huge haul of fish, straining the nets past capacity. They waved to their partners in the other boat to come help them. They filled both boats, nearly swamping them with the catch. Simon Peter, when he saw it, fell to his knees before Jesus. "Master, leave. I'm a sinner and can't handle this holiness. Leave me to myself." When they pulled in that catch of fish, awe overwhelmed Simon and everyone with him. It was the same with James and John, Zebedee's sons, co-workers with Simon. Jesus said to Simon, "There is nothing to fear. From now on, you'll be fishing for men and women." They pulled their boats up onto the beach, left them, nets and all, and followed him. Well, there are a lot of lessons within this account of Jesus' encounter with Simon, later to become Peter. But 2 things I want to point out is that when they were fishing on their own, they were in Chronos time. They were doing their own thing, working hard, and they weren't catching anything. But then Jesus said, "Push out into the deep water and let your nets out for a catch." You see, when we work with Jesus, we catch, we don't just fish. Secondly, behind that is this notion of going out into the deep water. We have to get out of the shallows. We have to get out where the action is. And right now, the action is usually in our homes or with our friends. We're kind of in this in-between place. We're waiting for God's time. We're waiting for Kairos time. And I believe God is using this time for a reason for us. How is He impacting you in this time?